Well, Snetterton is our venue today for rounds 17 and 18 of this year's championship. So, let's see how the first qualifying session is progressing. The new Vauxhall driver had a torrid time there, qualifying well down the order.
That pretty much tells me how this race is going to go. But at least I can say it wasn't Menu who took the pole, it was his teammate Jason Plato who took the pole position. So even though qualifying speed isn't there, hopefully the race speed will be there. 12th position, that's pretty much my average position the way I see it. But I need to win both of these races and hope that Menu does not score a pole position point in order for me to retake the lead of this championship.
Well, it's time to go down to the track where the cars are ready to start the first race.
And so here we go for race 1 here at Snetterton. I'm starting 12th, already off to a poor start as I would have expected. And I'm really going to have to start slicing my way through the field if I'm going to catch up to the two Renaults. As of which I'm pretty sure Menu will not take too long before taking the lead. And fuck. I already get spun out and it's not even turn 2 yet. His AI have a serious problem with me. And something tells me this is where the Renaults will start to pull away from me again because they're on the front row. Well, at least I can say the two Fords have made some progress. And I still cannot get through that corner for some reason. That one corner seems to be my Achilles heel. I'm able to get through the rest of the course, but that one corner just seems to be the one where I always choke. There's literally nothing I can do about it. And my teammate at the moment, he's having a torrid time. And I had to cut the chicane there. There was almost no way I was going to make up the positions if I didn't cut the chicane. As of which, that was probably the only option I really had if I was really going to start making amends for my abysmal qualifying pace. Well, wasn't necessarily abysmal, it was, well, the start of the race was abysmal, but I can definitely say I'm starting to chalk my way up the order now because I'm already up into 8th position. And I literally found 7 places when I cut the chicane, and I had to do that because otherwise if I didn't, I would have been caught up in a wreck. And I'm not prepared to be involved in that at this stage of the season. A crash is pretty much the one thing I really cannot afford up to this stage of the season, especially if I'm going for gold. And I am going to try and make this chicane here. And for once I am successful. So in the course of 2 laps I'm already up into 4th position, and it looks as though I may be able to find the runners pretty quickly, as long as I can keep my shit together. I might be able to get up to the front and challenge for the lead. No doubt in saying Menu probably has already taken the lead up to this point because, well, he's just being, well, Menu. And now, approaching the leading Audi, that's probably Frank Bieler who I'm now overtaking in the leading Audi. I've got to make up 5.6 seconds to catch up to the 2 Renaults. Hopefully that won't take too long, and maybe I can manage to get through the corner this time, and for once I am successful. And now, these are basically some flat out corners you have to abide by. The abidance of these corners is that you go flat out. And I'm already up into 3rd position and quickly quickly closing in on the 2 Renaults as it currently stands. And is this going to be another new best lap time? And no, it isn't. 800th off. I'm also 2 seconds off the second of the 2 Renaults. I have no doubt in saying it's probably Menu who has already taken the lead, so I am going to have to get up to the front quickly if I'm going to score as many points as I can. Of course, the player does seem to have the advantage here at Snetterton in terms of overall speed over the AI. I'm already up into 3rd position as we're now on lap 4. Snetterton technically is one of the fastest tracks on the schedule. Well, there's this, of course, aside from Thruxton, which officially is the fastest track on the BTCC circuit, and I'm now only less than a second behind Plato. So I'm really going to have to make my maneuver pretty soon if I'm going to catch up to the leader, because I really cannot afford any slip-ups up to this point. And Plato threw the block on me as I would have expected him to, but at least I can say he didn't straight up dump me like the 2 Fords did. Had to push him a little bit wide there. He was on the brakes, he was blocking, he really had no other alternative but to just go straight off into the grass. And so that now leaves myself and Menu contesting for the lead. And I am hopeful in saying, since I am back to the low sensitivity setting, I am hopeful in saying I will manage to catch up to him before we reach the halfway point. I am only 2.7 seconds off the lead, so if I can keep my shit together and avoid spinning out, then it is fair to say this now is the time to do it. Menu doesn't look as though he's going to be holding on to the lead for much longer, and I'm now only 1 1/4 seconds off the lead as we now go on to lap 6. And we now go through here, keeping my car on the road, and I am moving up the order nicely. And doesn't look as though Menu is going to hold on to the lead for much longer. It appears I do have the fastest car on circuit at the moment. And I stepped off the brakes too early. That corner still appears to be my weak spot, so that does give the advantage back to Menu, but hopefully I should manage to close in again by the time we get to the end of the lap, I would hope. And coming on to lap number 7 now, and it's now only 2.1 seconds, so if I'm going to pull off a passing manoeuvre, I'm going to have to get it done sooner rather than later, because then I know the pressure will be lifted. Doesn't look as though Plato is anywhere near us, so it's clearly a 2-horse race at this point, as we are now a quarter of the overall distance into the race, and oh, fuck me. Yeah, that corner is very punishing if you run wide. That corner seems to be my one trouble spot, because I just cannot get through that one corner. So I may have to cut the chicane again if I'm gonna close up the lap times, and oh my god! What the fuck was that? Did someone literally just try and brake check me? I'm going to assume that was my teammate. I have no idea what the fuck he was doing, but it's almost as if he was slowing down because he was trying to avoid something. Still, that really gave me a wake-up call. But still, even if I had taken the corner, Menu would have probably had the exit speed anyway, so really didn't have a choice there but to cut the chicane so I could at least get back up to him. There's no rule in this game that says I cannot do it. And oh my god, oh Jesus Christ. Okay, it's alright, it's fine. Menu just wrecked, meaning that I am now up to the lead. So Menu had just hit the tyre wall there, going through that tight corner. Good to know I'm not the only one who has trouble negotiating that one corner. At least I can say there aren't any track limit violations, and it looks as though my teammate is running in last because of all the chaos that has been emerging. My teammate is very unfortunate to be in that predicament, but sadly that's just where he is. There's nothing I can do about it except for hope that something does manage to happen in front of him, and one of the Ford Mondeos for a moment there was tailgating me. It's almost as if he was wanting to wreck me or something, but thankfully he has managed to ease off. He has managed to give me some adhesion, and at the moment things seem to be going pretty well, all things considered. And trying to dodge that Nissan Primera who was moving out of the way for, I think, one of the Peugeots, the way I see it. And what lap time is this going to be? It's going to be a 1 minute 13.1, so 7/10 quicker than my previous PB. And it looks as though with all of this lapped traffic I am pulling away from Menu as it currently stands. And really seems as though I'm actually starting to get the lap speed I need. So qualifying, as Tiff said, was horrible, but race pace, however, I would say it's at least... Oh, shit. Oh well. I would say my race pace, regardless of all the mistakes I've made up to this point, it seems to be much faster. Meaning that this is clearly a player circuit, not an AI circuit. Regarding the regarding the intervals I am seeing at the moment. Although I still cannot manage to negotiate that one tight corner. It's basically the corner at the end of that second straightaway that I really just don't seem to get the corner entry I need from that braking zone, because you're basically going from a wide corner into a very tight corner in practically the minimal time of about 3 seconds once you enter this braking zone, so you really have to be hard on the brakes here before going into these flat out corners. And yes, the reason I do have this on low sensitivity is so I can do this without spinning my car out. That's pretty much the only reason why I even have this on in the first place. But yeah, low sensitivity for high-speed tracks. That definitely seems to work better. And I just went a second faster than my previous best lap time. My best lap time is now a 1 minute 12.1, so it definitely goes to show my car has got pace. I'm also pretty sure that if I keep this up, this will pretty much become an easy win. And I think if I do manage to win this race, the points interval will now be decreased from 5 points to only 2. And then if I can win the second race, then with Menu not scoring pole position for the second race, then that should give me the lead in the championship by 1 point heading into Thruxton, which I can pretty much say at the moment is my jinx circuit because, well, Thruxton has not been too kind to me at the moment, and because I know it's going to be in wet conditions for the second visit, I have a feeling it's going to take some trial and error, and almost spinning out there, but fortunately managing to catch it before anything major took place. I am thankful to say I was able to catch it right before it went into the spin. I'm pretty sure that could have been a lot worse than it actually was. Thankfully, however, I was able to keep the car together and save it. As I now head through that very tight corner and now going flat out through these right-handers. I guess you could say it's pretty much a hexagonal hexagonal corner I'm taking there towards the latter stages of the lap right before the chicane, and all seems well at the moment. Even then, of course, if my teammate is currently running in last. But still, that really does suck for him, because, well, I think had it not been for the first lap chaos, he probably would have been in his normal position of 11th, considering that's where he seems to keep finishing at the moment. Anyways. So, I am now closing in on some lapped traffic. It looks like I'm closing in on one of the Volvos, along with one of the Audis, the way I see it. So, stepping on the brakes, trying to make the corner run a little bit wide there on the exit, but thankfully, however, Menu is pretty much well behind me up to this point, so something tells me I'm not going to lose this first race if I keep my shit together. Hopefully I will not spin too many times, because I thought for sure after that first lap melee I was almost going to be finished and done, but somehow it's become quite the opposite, and it now looks as though I'm closing in on the second Audi, because I'm pretty sure the leading Audi is near the front of the field, and oh, I did not mean to shift into reverse. And that one corner just really does not seem to be liking my driving methods, which is why I keep running right where the gravel is, and why that seems to be my worst corner on this entire racetrack. Come on. Don't block me, don't block me, don't block me. Please don't block me. Okay. I am now up to... Oh, he gave me a bumper, but he was not successful. And the Volvo just lets me through, so thankfully there are no issues there. And I can now see it looks like one of the Peugeots running inside the points, which is one thing you don't see every day. At least I think it's one of the Peugeots. And I can also see one of the Fords is in there as well, and I'm just fucking terrible at that one corner. I just cannot seem to get that one corner right. As in, it's almost as if it's an impossible task for me to thread the needle through that one corner. And had to step on the brakes there, had no other choice but to do that if I was going to avoid the Ford. There was almost nothing else I could have done there. I knew that Ford was too late on the brakes as we went through the second part of the kink right before the front stretch. I basically knew there was nothing else I could have done to stay away from him. And so, now overlapping what appears to be the leading Volvo of Rydell, because I seem to have overlapped Burt earlier on in the lap. Leslie Burt, I think, is somewhere further down the field. And I just cannot seem to get that one corner the way I'm meant to do it in any way, shape or form whatsoever. Also, the Volvo just unlapped himself, but then again, it was my mistake, and... Oh, Volvo, please! Okay. I thought for sure he was going to spin me out, but somehow he didn't. I really thought for sure that was going to be disaster, but fortunately, disaster was averted. And now, it appears as though, at the moment, everything seems tame. And I can now see one of the Audis trying to overlap my teammate. And so, with only 6 laps to go here at Snetterton for race 1, I am already up into what is now the 18 lap territory. Had to mute myself for a moment there because someone was in my room, and I figured, because I know this microphone isn't noise cancelling technically, I did have to mute myself for a moment because someone was right behind me. There really wasn't anything else I could have done there, but hopefully by the time I do manage to get myself a flat at some point in the future, that won't be so much of a problem. But unfortunately, because this room is also basically an office, well, my room is anyway. Since my room is basically an office, and because I live in a bungalow, it's just the sort of circumstances I have to live under, regardless of how hugely annoying they can be from time to time. But again, I just have to cope with it, and I have to do whatever it takes to make sure my voice does not sound disturbing, or anything disturbing is coming into the mic. So, now on to lap number 20 here at Snetterton, and it appears as though I am steadily pulling away from Menu. Doesn't look as though the Renaults have any answers for me and my red Vauxhall Vectra. We seem to be steadily easing away from the competition, and really hoping this time I can actually manage to do this corner properly. And I would say that's close enough. Anyways, closing in on what seems to be the leading Nissan now. I am going to assume it's David Leslie because Anthony Reid usually runs outside of the points, and he just wrecked himself for some reason. Did he have a mechanical issue, or did he just inadvertently wreck himself? I'm going to assume it's the second of those two things, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he just hit the wall. It's amazing to see how the damage limitation system in this game works. And surprisingly, no one has actually had a DNF up to this point in the season since Silverstone, when James Thompson had a DNF. And I think that was also with me as well, because, well, even though I didn't necessarily cause the crash, he threw the block on me, it wasn't going to work, and basically what happened from there was he threw a block that wasn't going to work, and then he just basically hit the outside wall. That's all there was to it. Although, in spite of all the chaos that has happened up to this point, it surprises me on how up to this point in the season we've only had one driver with a DNF all season. And that does baffle me quite a bit. And almost lost it, but somehow managed to keep it together. The Ford Mondeo has managed to unlap himself, except for saying this is probably either the second or third time I've overlapped a Ford Mondeo, because, well, they are basically so slow. It's almost as if I wouldn't be expecting them to score points up to this point in the season anyway, unless chaos emerges at Thruxton, and something tells me there might be chaos, because, well, it was chaotic in the previous race at Thruxton, and I'm pretty sure it's more or less going to be the same. But anyways, for now at least, I now have just one lap to go here at Donington. One lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank, and it seems as though no one is going to catch me, and my red Warsteiner Vauxhall Vectra and onto the backstretch now for the final time here in race 1. We still have another race to go, but everything seems to be looking good for now, and I now come through this final sequence of corners. Doesn't look as though anyone has a challenge, and this is going to be a comfortable victory for both myself and my Vectra. Through the final chicane now, onto the front stretch, and now it is over to you, Tiff.
Once again, the new Vauxhall driver has proven himself a winner. Here's the final positions.
So it's pretty much Noah's Ark for 2nd to 5th, as we had the 2 Renaults. Unfortunately, Menu did have to finish 2nd once again. Plato was 3rd ahead of Tarquini, Thompson 5th, then it was Leslie in 6th position ahead of Beeler. Rydell finishes in 8th, and this time Mintcliff finishes in 9th position ahead of Burt in the 2nd of the 2 Audis, Wilhoy 11th ahead of Warwick, Harvey 13th followed by Reed, Watts and Radicic completing the order.
Well, it's time for the second qualifying session
So,
today.
1 race is down and we still have another race to go here at Snatterton, and that will be coming up next time.